Good afternoon, Malaysia, and thank you for joining us on Bernama today. You are with Sonia Aisha with you on a Tuesday, 27th of August, just 4 more days till our country celebrate the National Day. Of course, I will be joining with Nadia shortly, but in the studio with us, we have a very special guest, and of course, the topic that we'll be talking about today is patriotism through education. So welcome to the show, Ms. Nirmala, Principal of SGM Montessori Kindergarten, as well as Ms. Wong Wai Quen, Program Director of Krista Education. Welcome to the show.
Welcome for having us.
Thank you for inviting us.
All right.
Yes.
Of course, as you all know, we're approaching towards the Merdeka Day, and it's just 4 days away. Perhaps we can start off with a background of your institution and what you do.
Okay, my name is Mrs. Mala, and I'm the principal, the founder, the owner, the teacher. I'm everything to the kids. And I've been running this SGM Montessori Kindergarten for the last 24 years. Okay, and we have a group of 50% foreign students, 50% Malaysian students in our center.
Okay, and when you say international students, which part of the country are they coming from?
Yes, we have a lot of children from different countries.
I see. Okay, interesting. And what about you, Ms. Wong?
My name is Quen, and I'm the Program Director with Krista Education, and we have over 98 centers throughout the nation, which is in West and East Malaysia. And we also do, besides, we major in kindergarten, of course, education, but we also do workplace childcare education. We provide our services to parents who are working, and like for parents from CMB, Share, and all this. So we have been in this business for more than 23 years now. So we really enjoy it, and we're expanding, and we're still expanding.
Okay,
yes.
wow. I think this is a very interesting dynamic that we have in the studio today. So now let's talk about the topic for today, which is patriotism. Of course, as we all know, patriotism is not about singing the national anthem. It's not about celebrating a particular day. I think we spoke earlier.
Yes.
It's about inculcating that value. Since the first day of school, right? It's not just a month of August. So how do you tell your students the meaning of patriotism?
We actually don't use the word patriotism to them because they don't understand the word. Okay, so what normally in my center is we will start introducing the other kids from the other countries from day one, when they come to recognize. As I told you, we are 50%, 50%. And then what normally we do is that, of course, we teach them moral lessons in our school. Okay, moral lesson that you have to respect your country. So the first thing is what normally in my center we will do is that we show them the map of Malaysia, because some of them they don't know where is Malaysia.
So I guess you start off with the whole foundation, the basics
the foundation,
of it.
because they're very young. They're only 3 to 6 years old, so you cannot go very far. You have to go to their level. All right, so we have to show them the map of Malaysia, and then we tell them this is Malaysia. So those who are born in Malaysia are known as Malaysians. All right, and then after that we will show them the flag, the flag of Malaysia. So you got to respect the flag as well.
I think that's a very good approach, especially starting off knowing the map of the country. Because sometimes we tend to take it for granted.
Exactly.
And surprisingly, if you test a few of the people out there, they can barely name where each of the states are located at.
Exactly.
Okay, you start off with the map and understanding the flag of the country. Okay, because the flag, that's more to just looking at the picture of the flag. Is also understanding the different meanings on why is the color red and white. Those things. Okay, interesting. And what about you?
Well, at Krista, we actually have a book on patriotism, which we teach. So it's learned throughout the year. So it's part of the curriculum. So the children talk about, we do all kinds of activities like how we love the country, how we respect the flag, who our prime minister is, and our agong. And so it's not like we only do it in the month of August or in the month of September.
Yes.
Exactly.
So the kids do it during circle time, during moral studies. So it is something that they have to learn throughout the year.
Yes.
And then until they leave us and then go to primary school. And it has to continue from there because young children, they need to learn this when they're young. We set the foundation, so that they love the country, they take care of the country, they protect the country. So for field trips also, we take them out to go maybe to the Tugu, that kind of things, and talk about this, and then we do role plays, and every morning they sing their Negaraku song as well as our school song.
Okay. Yeah, so that's one of the ways to inculcate it, right? Because I grew up in a government school as well, and I've seen how government schools, how we celebrate National Day. We even have competitions on coloring contests and all sorts. But there's also the private, and we see a lot of international schools coming up, and from what I've heard, they don't really practice the national anthem. They don't really sing the national anthem on a daily basis and so forth. So, how do you think we can prevent, or inculcate more of this patriotism, for not just, I know you're talking about in your schools, there are ways to encourage it, but how do you think a country for the younger generation, how we can approach this? Yeah.
As I told you earlier, we have to start it from them from a young age. Okay, they are only 3 to 6. We have to tell them that you have to respect your country, just like you love your mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
All right? So you have to tell them the kind of ways you have to love your country. So as they grow to the next level, after 6 years old, they have to practice that in the primary school as well.
Okay.
Okay? So then the primary school teachers will take over.
Okay, so it's not just about, of course, at the end of the day, it's also the individual, the household, the upbringing from the parents,
Yes,
right?
both ways.
We find it's very important that whatever our children learn here, for example, if we're going to celebrate Merdeka Day, for example, so the children talk about the flag, they make the flag, do their art and craft and stuff like that. But they also carry the flag, wave it, and then some of the centers, they take them around, walking around the neighborhood, carrying the flag, and then they are encouraged to go home and tell their parents to fly the flag at home, So they are supposed to, pass on this knowledge to their parents as well. So the teachers being the role model is very, very important. If the teacher is not passionate about it, she won't teach it.
Okay.
So we also need the government support as well to carry this on, to inculcate this into the primary school children and so on. So I remember when we were in school, I used to join the parade. The National Day Parade, we're so proud and so excited, going, participating, And we're also proud to be Malaysians, right? But these days, the kids nowadays, they access a lot of the YouTube and all that, and they learn all the bad influences, and they don't sort of love the country, they don't defend the country, which is sad.
Yeah, I guess the younger generation, it's different, compared to what our grandparents and great-grandparents went through. The younger generation do not really understand the struggle or what it takes to get Independence Day for the country.
That's right.
So,
Those days, like our parents, when come from Merdeka Day, they will tell me, make sure you watch the parade in the TV. The next day, 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll make us, wake up so early and watch that. So it's like, the love has to come from the heart. It has to come from the heart. So we will be so excited waiting in front of the TV, watching the whole show, about 2-hour shows, the parade, the marching. That makes us happy.
Exactly, right? You see the pride from the parade by watching the parade. But whereas for some of us now, we treat it as a public holiday.
I'm not going there because
it's crowded, it's packed.
So I think parents
which is
really
very sad.
Encourage them.
Okay, and so how do you teach your students, especially for you, Miss Nimala, because your school is very diverse. You've got international kids and Malaysian kids. How do you, make sure they come together and understand, what the importance of patriotism?
As I told you earlier, we start the beginning of the year when they come to school during our moral lesson. So what normally when we do in the class that we sing national anthem. Okay, and then we'll tell them to love your countries.
Is the language barrier an issue though for the students there?
No.
Okay.
Even though they don't speak very good English, because some of them come from the Arabic countries, all right, so they will eventually learn. Okay, so when they do activities, they do together. Okay, when they have floor activities, they're always together. When they have toy time, they play together. So we have lessons later, so they always combine together. And the foreign students are very happy to see the Malaysian children are playing together with them, and they learn the value of give and take.
We do have mixed kids in our place from Cambodia, from US, mixed marriages and so on as well. So when they also learn from their friends, you know, when they're doing the flag and all that, you know, and then singing the song. They sing also together
they can
with
sing
us.
as well.
They sing together with us as well. So it's a good way of showing that, you see, there's so many races in Malaysia, and we live in peace and harmony, and we celebrate each other's festivals and all that. So they get to share their festivals with us, and we get to share our festivals and our food with them. So that's where unity comes in.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I run, of course, youth programs as well, and we take international kids. You know, but what we tend to do also is at the start, you know, we'll make sure each of the kids have a chance to share the map of their country, the national anthem. That way people understand, you know, what it feels like. For the international students to understand the different cultures that each other
Malaysia,
share.
yes, it's true.
Interesting. Okay, now apart from National Day celebration, what do you think schools should do to encourage patriotism among students?
Okay, what we do in our school in SGM Montessori, during our festival season, Hari Raya, okay, we encourage children to come in with their national costume. Okay, some they will wear Hari Raya baju Melayu, some will wear the Indian jippa. So they come in with different kind of national costume. So when they come together and we celebrate, and they will intend to see, wow, this is very nice. You know, they're very excited. And then they bring some cookies from home as well. So they learn to share. They learn to eat together. So there's no favorism or, you know, discrimination, nothing. Because children are very young, they're very innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you have to train them from young, give them the good value of education. Yes, it's very important for them. The moral language is important because they are the future generation.
So you know, that's where parental involvement is also very important, because whatever we teach our children, we explain to the parents as well, so that, you know, they don't pick up any negative vibes, you know, when they go out, you know, and then they can defend the country and says, no, teacher said that we shouldn't like this, like that, you know, we should respect our flag. Oh, you cannot, you know, throw the flag like this, mommy, the flag has to be, you know, respected, and why, and so on. So when they do this, this is a way of, you know, them spreading the message as well. So when this is taught during their foundation years, then it carries on, and when they go into adulthood, to be proud of it, you know.
It's true. So I saw one of the photos that was, is that your students with a flag painted on the face,
Yes, they paint their face and they go march around the neighborhood and so on.
Wow, look at that. Okay, so do you, I mean, is it useful as well to tell the kids the struggles that we faced, you know, to gain our Independence Day? Do you think, you know, because you know, of course, when we approach high school and primary school, we learn about the history of the country, the struggles that you know, our leaders had to go through to gain Independence Day. Do you think that's necessary for students of
for children the age of 3 to 6? I don't think it's still necessary yet, because they're still young. They don't know the history yet. Okay, we can't tell that what happened because they don't know yet. So we don't want to give a good or bad impression. As they grow to the next level, obviously they will learn the history. Okay, so at this point of kindergarten level, we teach them the moral, the love.
And have fun.
You know, love with other kids, enjoy being with the other kids. So that's more important.
We just simplify the history and say that, you know, we need to protect our country, you know. And then when we work on teams in our curriculum. So during the team of occupation, we talk about the army and all these people, how they protect our country. And then when we go to the Tugu, and then we show them, you see, you know, these people are protecting our country so that, you know, our people are safe, you know, and at least build some kind of patriotism in the kids from very young as well, so that a lot of these kids, they take things for granted. Yeah, all the teenagers and all that, they take things for granted. The harmony that we've built, you know, they take it for granted. And we hope that the government does something about it, because it will be very, very sad day that one day when all this hard work that Tunku put in, you know,
it's just
to unite the people and to get our independence is down the drain.
It's
you
true.
know. Yeah,
Sometimes it's sad.
I think it's sad, you know, the direction that we're heading towards. So, and I think government intervention is also very crucial.
Very
you know, to make sure patriotism and you know is fulfilled, you know, amongst the people. But how do you measure students' understanding of, you know, level of patriotism? You know, I mean, is it enough? For example, you know, I mean, this is off from what you're specialized in, but in schools, getting an A in history subject, do you think that's enough to show how patriotic, you know, how do you measure it? You know, I'm always wondering that question.
I don't think getting A is good enough, you know. I mean, practicing in everyday life when we say, oh, you know, Mahathir built the KLCC Tower or built our national card, put us on the map. You know, last time when we were in the school, we studied about America and all that and their greatness, but nobody studied about Malaysia. You know, so he put us on the map. So we have to be proud. You know, we cannot say that, oh, things made in Malaysia are no good, the quality is no good. You know, we have to be proud. We have to be a proud nation and say that, yes, we should buy and support things made in Malaysia and that kind of thing. So that's how we know whether, you know, these people are patriotic or not, you know. And then when it comes to Merdeka celebration, you see all these people proudly carrying it, waving their flags, you know. So that's how we see that, oh, okay, you know, we succeeded in turning out kids who are patriotic, you know.
Exactly. And I think we can also take examples from our neighboring countries. Like, for example, I think Indonesia is very patriotic. You know, and also I think maybe one of the reasons is because the people only speak one language there. Maybe it could be, but Japanese people too.
As well. So, they're very strong.
Yeah. So I think it's, you know, it's about time that we probably, you know, take examples from our neighboring countries and inculcate the values. Anything you want to add on?
As I told you earlier, but we have to really teach them from day one in the school, not only the month of August. It is a daily life basis. Okay, every day they have to know this is a national anthem, this is my country, these are my friends. You know, you have to play together. Okay, so and then when they go back home, they will carry the same message to their parents. So parents must play their role because they are another good example. Because children only spend with us about 4 hours. So when they go back, they're spending the rest of the days with the parents. So parents must take the initiative to take them out to the playground, mix with the other children.
That's right.
You know,
make it multiracial.
Yes, you know.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think that unfortunately that is all the time that we have for today. Of course, we'd like to spread awareness. You know that patriotism is very important, and there's no other way to place and to teach patriotism than schools, the very place where students go to learn. We do have a token of appreciation for you. You know, in conjunction with the National Day, so you can just wear
a nice ribbon.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us at the studio.
Well, thank you so much. We do have so that's all the time that we have. We do have another segment, and Nadia will be joining us in the studio shortly, so stay tuned, everyone.
Hi there, welcome back. It's Nadia Abdulatif and Sonia Aisha today, this Thursday on the run-up to, of course, the national celebrations and Malaysia Day. Now, we've had a very interesting conversation earlier on with the people from Krista, and we were talking about patriotism and education. So now on to something hot. We're going to be talking about radioactivity with none other than Professor Emeritus Dato Dr. Sukiman Sarmani, Professor of Radiochemistry and the Chairman of University Kuala Lumpur. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yep, thank you. Such an honor. So today's topic is, of course, understanding radiation in our daily lives. I think most of us are not aware that we're actually exposed to radioactive activities. So how is radiation used in everyday life, Professor?
Well, radiation is everywhere. Either the type that you can see, which is visible light, or the type that you cannot see, but it's there, like UV light and nuclear radiation, which is a very high energy and very short wave, so you cannot see it. Right? It's there every day, and you don't feel it, unfortunately, except with for infrared in the sunlight. You feel a bit warm. The rest, you don't feel it until you get the burn. For example, sunburn, and for this nuclear radiation, you may get the same effect. That is radiation burn.
So, Prof, as you mentioned, it's ever present in our daily lives.
Yes.
However, every time we hear radiation, we're thinking of disaster. We're thinking of Hiroshima, we're thinking of Chernobyl, our mind goes to Linus and things like that. In fact, Linus was just in the news 2 days ago when the International Trade Minister was saying we're going to keep the Linus trade investment, but we're going to do that following the rules. So I wanted to ask you, Prof, how is radiation helpful? I mean, we often hear things in the news, but it's always, scaring everybody about how bad radiation is. Can you tell us how radiation is helpful in daily lives?
Well, look at, for example, a knife. It is useful if you use it properly, and it is very dangerous if you don't use it. You don't handle it properly. So radiation is the same. You have a quantity with low level radiation. It is useful. We use it in medical diagnostic, even medical treatment for cancers or for other diseases. But then, if you use more than what is required, accepted by the body, you'll get the effect. For example, as I said, radiation burn and radiation sickness. For example, start vomiting, and if it is very high dose, then it may cause cancer, and of course, it may cause, depending on the dose, how much you receive in a very short while, then it may cause death immediately, or cause death based on weeks or months.
So this was probably what happened in the disasters. But it's amazing what you said. With the correct dose, it's helpful and it will treat cancer. But with too much of it, will cause cancer and will cause death.
So
that's the paradox. And you can
So, but then, of course, you were talking about radiation and how it's being used in the medical field. What are, I understand that there are 5 different types of radiation. If you could share it with us.
Oh, well, the normal that we read in textbook is alpha, beta, gamma, and neutrons. Of course, neutron nowadays is used in therapy,
Yes.
Neutron therapy, for example, a brain tumor, they use neutron. Neutron therapy. We don't have a machine here, I think, but there are in other countries they have. And for X-ray, they use X-ray radiation, which is slightly low energy than gamma. So low gamma energy, call it X-ray, just for diagnosis. In example, X-rays, even CT scan, cathode ray, they call it cathode ray scan. So they use some kind of X-rays to brain scan and other scan.
It's about how you target that energy to that specific locality of the area that you're trying to assist, right? Okay.
The trick is how to focus that energy, very small place, small point, to kill stem cells.
Wow, and how do you do that?
That is technology, call it, medical technology. Now it's very advanced, and even they call it gamma knife, which is gamma radiation to cut cancer in the brain. Not just to treat, but to isolate the tumor from the brain tissue.
And the idea is it's meant to be assistive and less invasive rather than just bombarding the whole entire body, right? That's amazing. So you've mentioned to us the different ways in which we can harness and channel radiation for good. So can you share us a little bit about why radiation is so important in our lives?
First of all, like it or not, radiation is there.
Ever present.
Ever
We can't
present.
get away with it.
Do we
So
get
now you
radiation
have-
coming from our phones as well?
Yeah, they don't call it a radiation in a way, but they call it electromagnetic field,
Okay.
EMF, EMF, which is caused by electromagnetic radiation, which is also in a way radiation, but then the field that surrounding the handphone may cause, they say, may cause some other diseases, cancer and so on, but then it is not proven yet. Even the study by WHO, the conclusion, they said that the conclusion is not conclusive, meaning that we are not sure. Yes?
The conclusion is not conclusive.
Yeah, that is the
Okay.
word. Their word, not my word, their word.
Okay.
Yeah.
The conclusion is not conclusive because there are many studies all over the world.
So I wanted to find out. Very often we hear parents or adults telling little children, don't use too much laptops, don't use too much phone, don't use too much screen time. You're either going to go blind or you're going to get cancer or the radiation's going to like eat your brain out. We hear a lot of that. Is there any truth in that, or is that just sort of urban legend just to scare children?
Well, I
And
think
adults,
just, I think it's more of a urban legend because we don't
Okay.
have a fact at the moment. Even nowadays, we heard that it may cause eye cancer.
Yeah.
Incident of eye cancer among children by using all this handphone and computers. Well, theoretically, yes, they emit radiation. The computer screen and TV screen emit radiation, but then we are not sure what the effects are at the moment. We don't have enough study. Even EMF from the handphone, even the telecommunication tower, the study is so
Exactly.
still not complete yet.
I think to be safe, all of us should just, because some of us, I used to sleep with my phone underneath my pillow. So, after hearing about...
Radiating over the pillow.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it
Yes.
scares me to know about the radiation, that it's causing so much. I mean, for example, you said it can cause cancer and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So to be safe, everyone just put your phone, don't sleep too close
Yeah.
to your
Just
phone.
put it away.
Yeah.
You use it when it is necessary.
Yeah.
I think from my conversation that I had with Prof earlier on, he is a big proponent of balance, right? If you do something for the correct purpose, in this case, the usage of radiation for good, and you channel it for good, then it's great. But if you are misusing it, and even for things like EMF, then whatever harm that comes your way is also because of excessive use,
Yep,
correct?
yep.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about transportation. Earlier you were telling me about the fact that us sitting here not doing anything, we're already bombarded with radiation. And then you said, if you were to fly for about 10 hours or so, you've got a certain amount. So what is the body's threshold? At what point does it get harmful?
Yeah.
Okay. For example, as we sit here on the ground,
Okay.
we receive about 2 millisievert.
Okay.
It's just a unit saying that's the background radiation that we receive.
All right.
So that's we call it just the baseline. If you fly, for example, for 10 hours flight, I think it's something like it was reported something like 10 millisievert, about 5 times.
More.
Because that you fly at 40,000 feet,
Yeah.
meaning that the higher
You fly.
your place is, the higher the dose will be. For example, on
Okay.
the mountain, in Everest, which is 5 miles up, so it's higher than what we receive on the ground.
Is there
even
a
on
reason
sea
why
level.
there's more radiation
Yeah.
the higher up you go?
Okay, first you get radiation from the Earth,
Yes.
right? And then you have radiation from the cosmic ray from
Okay.
outside this Earth. Yeah, so up there a lot of things are happening. So cosmos, they call it cosmic radiation, cosmos, which is neutron, heavy particles, gamma rays, everything, alpha, beta, it's all there.
Yeah. So what sort of precautions can we take? For example, if I'm flying, I'm a frequent traveler, is there a precaution that you can take for preventing yourself from being exposed to too much
Or even
radiation?
people working in the airline industry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, for example, the human body can take 100 millisievert
Oh,
anytime.
okay.
That's no problem.
All
At
right.
one time
For a year.
for a year.
A
For
year,
a year.
okay.
Yeah, for a year.
We should be calculating.
Yeah, exactly. Flying alone is about 10.
Yeah, for a year. Yeah, that's right. Because, for example, if you go for your CT scan, you receive about as well as about 2 millisievert.
Okay.
CT scan. X-ray, chest X-ray is about 0.1 millisievert, which is very low, but it's necessary. So the doctor will look at the benefit and the risk. The risk is, you receive about 0.1 millisievert, which is nothing. Your body can handle it.
Exactly, because when we go to hospitals, you know, as you're about to enter to do your X-ray, you'll see a huge
sign.
Yes. sign.
Yes,
You know?
that's precautionary measure. Yeah.
And even for me, going for the first time, I'm already freaked out by the radiation that's
But it's necessary. So just 0.1 is nothing because you already
But what
received.
about for the staff? You know, the nurses and doctors are working.
Okay, because they're exposed to the machine quite regularly, not like us maybe once a year. They have to take precaution. For example, in they're wearing this lead vest so that to protect them.
Okay.
Even if you are pregnant, they ask you, if you are pregnant, please let us know. So that they will take further precaution for your X-rays and so on. So those are the procedures to reduce the unnecessary risk.
So you were sharing with us a little bit about the usage of radiation in medicine just now. Is there any other ways in which radiation is used in medicine other than the ones that we know? When you tell me radiation, more often than not, we're just going to the radiologist or getting, X-rays and things like that. But what other ways?
Okay, generally radiation in medicine is for diagnosis and therapy. Therapy basically is for this cancer or tumors. But for diagnosis, you can do to study the organ function, everything, using not just radiation but radiopharmaceutical, meaning that pharmaceutical that has been tagged with radioactive material. You can see the movement and so on. It's a dynamic. But then in industry is even more application of radiation in industry.
Yeah, people don't realize that radiation is also used to, for example, the preservation of food to make things last longer, or in fact even in sterilization. So there's so many different things that I think we take for granted every day, and we don't realize that that's little bit of radiation that's there. So that's quite. I think it's quite a revelation to. Understand where you need to go and how to keep yourselves safe. Now, I just wanted to zoom out a little bit. How did you get about being interested in radiochemistry?
I was going to ask the same thing.
That's a very interesting question. Way back in the 60s when I was younger, much younger, I was still a student.
There was an in thing to go and study radiology.
You were not born yet. Well, in the 60s, after the Second World War, even Japan, who were affected by the atomic bomb, they went all out to go to nuclear for peaceful uses. Meaning that to use for medical purposes and for the nuclear power program to produce electricity from nuclear power. And then at that time, our neighbors, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand and Indonesia are also planning. So suddenly our Deputy Prime Minister, Tun Ismail, said, we should go develop this new technology. So in the 60s, it is a new technology. Biotech was not heard of, IT was not heard of.
Exactly.
So there's a thing. So we developed. So I happened to be a student during that time. So since the government said we must develop this new technology, so I was very keen. New frontier technology, and it's something very new. So I listed to do my field. It's a very large area field. So I thought, since my background is chemistry, why don't I do radiochemistry, studying all the chemicals with radioactive properties. So that's how I started. And then the group, the training and everything, suddenly we have a even bigger manpower, and we plan to have one nuclear power plant launched in 1987. But since we discovered oil, Petronas was
so there was a shift in the kind of energy usage.
Yes, from nuclear to, before that we don't have any fuel, oil. So we shift from nuclear to oil. So that's the history.
But this is amazing, because in the run-up to our, of course, National Day celebration, you would know that this shift happened a little over 10 years after we got our independence.
Yes.
And because of what was happening in geopolitics across the world, we realized, hang on, Malaysia needs to be part of this, not only in terms of development, but also in terms of national security.
Yes.
And of course, this is very heavily debated all the way until where we're at now. I mean, for example, do we need nuclear energy?
Exactly.
Is it a form of clean energy that we should go into? We were talking
harmful?
about more harm.
Yeah.
And does it pose more threat, or is it actually something that's important for us? So I think that's amazing. Now also, I believe in 1968 there was a Radioactive Substance Act. You were talking about Act 304. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Okay, in '68 we had this Radioactive Substances Act just to control the application of radiation in medical area, in hospital.
So it's mainly for medicine.
Mainly for medicine. Suddenly, I think in the 70s, we had this hoo-ha problem in Papan
Yes.
with all these rare earths and waste and so on. And we look at the act, it cannot handle those area, industry and all these waste and in terms of treatment and so on. So we come up with this, the Act 304 was planned, discussed in 1978, and then become an act gazetted in 1984. So it took us 6 years to.
Is it
have
still
that.
mainly focusing on the medical field, or has it been amended to include other?
Both medical and industrial application. So it's
Okay.
more comprehensive. But then in terms of the regulatory body, because for radiation is such a very sensitive issue, in some countries, in France for example, the board who regulate this radiation is under parliament,
I
not
see.
under ministry.
I see.
If it is under ministry, then we have problem of conflict of interest and so on and so forth. So I think that in terms of governance, I think we should move forward to
So in terms
more
of governance, we should
opens
move.
and for radiation control.
This is amazing. In the run-up for National Day, there's so many different things. We're not only talking about radiation, but the history of how this came to be.
Yep.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing
You're most welcome.
your
Thank you.
stories
Yeah,
with
thank
us.
you. I think there's a very great insight on understanding radiation. So, of course, to the viewers who are watching this, be sure to take precautions. For example, putting your phones away when it's not necessary. But of course, thank you so much, Dato
You're
Sukiman,
welcome.
for giving us all the info about radiation. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we do have another special guest. So stay tuned, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, welcome back. Nadia Abdul Latif and Sonia Aisha in the studios today. We were earlier discussing about radiochemistry with the good professor, and now we have our next guest, none other than Dr. Shariha Khalid Erison, Managing Partner of Mission & Co, investing in people and the planet. So we're going to be talking about social impact investing, why it's important, and of course on the back of the very heated debate recently about Malaysia's poverty level.
Exactly.
So welcome on set, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, lovely
here.
to have you. So, of course, the United Nations reported that poverty levels in Malaysia is increasing. But of course, first of all, what do you think that has got to do with the impact of poverty to our economy?
So, poverty is one of those really challenging problems that are, in a way, very, very difficult to solve because it's not something that's constant. And it's, in that sense, for any country, you will always see poverty existing. But I think the opportunity that the recent results unleashes for us as a country is how we can look at whatever the results are that's reported as an opportunity to lift people out of poverty through an approach that is inclusive, that is equitable, that ensures that any wealth or any opportunities to earn income is open up to all of society. And in that sense, this is really the area where I work, of how businesses can be a force for good, meaning how businesses can play a critical role in lifting people out of poverty through the creation of jobs or through trading with those who are in that income group and procuring goods and services from them.
So as you pointed out, it's true. I think poverty in any country is a precarious beast. There's no one common denominator. Of course, GDP is one way of looking at it, but there's so many different ways of explaining the different issues that come together with poverty in a specific country.
Exactly.
So we wanted to dissect a little bit more about impact investing, as we know that this is an area of interest for you, and I think it would be beneficial for a lot of people who are listening, the 101 on social impact investing. So I wanted to find out how different, when we say, you know, businesses can come in to assist in terms of alleviating poverty, looking at impact investing. How is this different from any other kind of investments?
So impact investing at its core begins with that intentionality around creating impact through the financial instruments of investments. And investments can be through, you know, either getting equity, getting ownership, basically shares in a company that creates impact for society, or it can be through an instrument like debt, basically giving financing facilities, loans to businesses that are trading in the areas of, you know, impact creation. And what does impact creation, I mean, what's the definition of impact in the first place, right?
Exactly.
Because that word is used sometimes quite liberally. Impact in this context means positive impact on the environment, on the planet, or in, you know, society, for impact on people. And you know, when we talk about the intentionality around impact, this is basically, as an investor, you're coming in from the very beginning seeking solutions that can bring a positive impact to people and the planet. And you're using a business approach to be able to see that impact realized. So I'll give a tangible example. Let's say you are, I'll take an example. There's a school, a chain of schools in India that basically provides low cost education to children from, you know, low income groups. So the parents of these children can pay a very small fee to these schools, and they operate all over India. But these schools come with the premise of, you know, we are here, we exist because we want to provide this service to people who might not be able to afford, you know, a private school, and they don't have access for whatever reason to a public school. So in that sense, these people are customers. The parents are paying for their children to have an education. And the school itself, the business, has that duty to be able to be financially sustainable and to be able to provide the best service for their customers.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, it's a business instrument, it's a financial investment for a specific initiative that focuses on, number one, in this case, alleviating poverty, with a focus on not only just financial returns, but what are the other impacts that we need to look
Impact
at
returns,
for
exactly,
either
yeah.
social impact returns or impact on the environment positively, or impact on how this then empowers the community that we're trying to assist to come back.
Exactly.
Exactly, and in that case of that particular school, they managed to raise debt and investment instruments to be able to scale their services around India.
That's right. Sorry, Dr. Sharhia, unfortunately we have to take a quick break. Of course, when we come back, we'll be talking more about Impact Economy One-on-One.
Great.
This is a very great insight. So we do have another guest joining us who will be talking about the same topic on Impact Economy One-on-One, and we'll be
Stay
right back
tuned.
after the break. Stay tuned.
Tontonlah pada setiap Khamis pukul 8.30 malam 1001 destinasi musim ke-6 di Bernama News Channel. Semuanya tentang anda.
Hi there, welcome back. It's Nadia Abdulatif, and now I'm joined with another special guest, Mr. Amit Bhatia, who is joining Dr. Shariha Khalid for the discussion on social impact investing and, of course, the climate of investing in Malaysia. So, Dr. Shariha, earlier you were giving us an example about what social impact investing might look like in a country like India, and specifically, for a sector like education. Are there similar things happening in Malaysia? Could you share a little bit about some of the efforts that might be done here?
Yes, of course. There are, it's quite an emergent movement in that sense. There are quite a few impact-driven enterprises in Malaysia that are starting to attract the attention of investors, and indeed some that have already secured some early investments. So they tend to come in the areas of either refugee education or providing economic livelihoods for refugees and also those at the bottom of the pyramid, and also energy, renewable energy and clean water.
So the mission becomes the key driver of why that business exists.
Exactly, but they also have that conditionality around it is a business model,
Yes.
it is a business, and that there must be those who are benefiting from the products and services that they are providing.
So you're actually describing social enterprises, impact-driven enterprises. What are the difference between an impact-driven enterprise and a social enterprise? Could you share a little bit about that? Or is there a difference?
I don't think there is at all. Yeah.
Well, the impact word covers both the social and environmental movements.
Yeah.
Over the last decade, what's happened is there was a big social and enterprise movement, and when Grameen won the Nobel Prize in 2006, it came to fore. In 2007, Al Gore got the Nobel Prize for bringing global warming and climate change into focus. And in 2008, both these movements mixed. So now the word that the world wants to refer to is impact enterprise, which includes both a social enterprise and enterprises focused on environment or climate change.
I see. As I understand it, of course, in Malaysia, they've now put everything together under MDEC. And of course, you've got all these different agencies that are looking at, the Ministry of Entrepreneurial Development, and they're also looking at different ways in which all this can happen. So you are right in terms of the ecosystem of socially driven or impact-driven enterprises are out there. Now, on the other side, where we are talking about investments coming in, and a lot of them are pitching for, of course, either seed funding or grants to be able to scale up, what is the difference? I mean, could you explain a little about what's the difference between a green fund or socially responsible sukuk or a social impact investment? Are all these different buzzwords are flying around, but they do actually mean different things, and they're used in the business to create different forms of impact. So can you share a little bit about that?
So I'll touch a bit about who in Malaysia on the government side has the mandate of building up the ecosystem for social entrepreneurship. So you're right, the Ministry of Entrepreneur Development holds this mandate, and the implementing agency is MAGIC, Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Centre. And the government has been really progressive in looking at various forms of programs and policies that can really help this sector grow and thrive. But on the other hand, when you're talking about building an ecosystem, you've also got to look at where the finance, the capital is coming from. It cannot just be who the recipients of investment instruments would be. It's also who's actually providing the capital. And in that sense, that is still quite nascent. The Securities Commission has introduced the SRI fund framework, and there's really a big move also on the stock exchange to really drive sustainability practices and increase the numbers of ESG funds that are available in the market. But ultimately, all of these things that we're mentioning, they are just instruments. They are financial instruments to be able to create a vibrant economy that can make the enterprises be able to grow, scale, and thrive, but also at the same time generate, a market.
Yeah. With that, I wanted to ask Amit a question. Now, of course, it's heated in the news right now about the UN report about Malaysia's, poverty state, and we're actually at 15% and not at 0.4% as what we were meant to believe. Now, how can social impact investing assist in an area like that for Malaysia? And what are your thoughts on some of the key areas that we should actually be looking at?
Well, world over, we have seen over the last couple of decades that private sector and social investing and impact investing has been able to assist governments and philanthropists to bring poor out of poverty. In my this current trip, I realized it's not just poverty, but the native communities, there's educational issues, there's a malnutrition issue, 1 out of 5 children are stunted. So there are social challenges which impact investing can address. And the best way to do that would be to encourage the idea that Malaysia can also build an impact economy. So coming from around the world, I can say while this is globally now a $30 trillion economy. So it's a very large economy. But in Malaysia, it's still evolving and in early stage.
That $30 trillion economy that you're talking about requires a reallocation of funds, because at the moment, a lot of the impact investing, as we can see, a lot in the developing world, not necessarily in developed countries, because of course, developing countries or least developed countries have got more impact areas to show for, and a lot more social good to be able to be had. So for example, in Malaysia, we know that standards of course evolve around time. So if we're talking about $1.20 a day, then no one in Malaysia is actually poor. But there's a lot more that we can do, and as I hear you mentioned, social impact investing can be a method to assist the government to target some of the key areas that we need to work on. So could you share with us some specific projects on what you think we should be looking at? Is it education? Is it rural poverty? Is it development? What areas do you think we should focus on?
So globally, the 5 biggest sectors through which poor get served include education, as you mentioned, because education is an intergenerational problem, and if you don't start addressing it now, it means the future generations will also have an impact. Affordable healthcare. So, and in both these sectors, the government's role is to start thinking they should not think of themselves as the sole provider. They should allow private sector the opportunity to come in and support such sectors. Then there's affordable housing, so that the poor are able to get, dignity and
You're
live.
basically telling us the SDG goals.
Well, these are
Housing,
the SDGs. So
poverty,
the impact,
education, that's
Nadia,
right.
you're right.
Exactly.
The idea of the impact economy is to help achieve all the SDGs by 2030. But beyond these 3, back here in Malaysia, because this is still an evolving economy, agriculture is a big issue. And sustainable agriculture, sustainable forestry, sustainable fisheries, these are all investment opportunities where the private sector can assist and government can get assistance in pulling the poor farmers or fishermen out of poverty.
Okay, I wish there was more time to speak to the both of you. I feel that there's a lot more that we can discuss, but indeed I'm hearing that what you're saying is social impact investing is not just a means to an end. It's a powerful tool if we actually use it right. We're talking about an economy of $33 billion. You're talking about how can we assist Malaysia not only in terms of accessibility to education, quality education, affordability, health, housing, and I think together we can be looking at how do we inch closer to bringing Malaysia to the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals where no one is left behind. But with that, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. I have some presents for you. On behalf of the team at the studio and of course in the run-up to National Day, we have some gifts from our friends from Project 57. This is called the Unity Ribbon. So as you can see, I've got one too. If you take a photo with this and hashtag it on your social media platforms, do hashtag as Maka Kami. So this is for you and this is for you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
That's all the time that we have today. Stay tuned. Have a good day. Bye.